You really don't know that the most dangerous prayers are the ones that sound so beautiful. This woman's blessing were so moving that every bride wept with joy whenever she was praying over them. They didn't know she was speaking two languages, blessing them in public while doing other things in ancient Yoruba. For 20 years, she turned wedding ceremonies into spiritual slaughterhouses. Everyone needs prayer on their wedding day, but make sure you know who your prayer warrior really is, because some people pray to the wrong spirits. In a small village of Ajabandele lived a woman named Yetunde. She was tall and graceful, her voice was smooth, and her words carried power that made people listen carefully. Everyone in the village respected Yetunde because she had a very important job. She was a traditional marriage mediator, the person who helped families arrange weddings and settle disputes. When young couples wanted to get married, they came to Yetunde's compound first. Her house was painted blue with yellow trim. She kept wooden shelves filled with cowrie shells, kola nuts, and other items used in traditional ceremonies. The walls had carved masks, an old photograph of successful weddings she had helped arrange. When families came to negotiate bride prices, Yetunde would serve them palm wine in calabash cups while they sat on woven mats. She would listen to both sides speak their minds, then help them reach fair agreement. She knew exactly how many goats, how many money, and which gift should change hands for each wedding. Yetunde has wisdom beyond her years. The village elders would say she understands our tradition better than women twice her age. But the most important part of Yetunde's job came on wedding days themselves. She was the one who gave the final blessings to every bride before the ceremony could begin. This blessing was supposed to bring good luck, happiness, and many children to the new marriage. When Yetunde was giving her blessing, something magical seemed to happen. Her voice would become even more beautiful than usual, rising and falling like music. She would close her eyes and raise her hands towards the sky, speaking in ancient Yoruba words that sounded mysterious and powerful. The brides would cry happy tears when they heard Yetunde prayers. Their families would nod and smile, feeling peaceful and confident about the marriage. Even the grooms would feel moved by the beauty of her words. Your blessing made my heart feel so warm, brides would tell Yetunde after their ceremony. I could feel the ancestors smiling down on me. What none of them knew was that Yetunde's beautiful prayers were hiding a terrible secret. 22 years before the story begins, Yetunde had been young and full of dreams. She was 18 years old with glowing skin and bright eyes. All the young men in the village wanted to cut her, but Yetunde only had eyes for one person. His name was Adebayo, and he was very handsome. He was tall and strong. With a smile that made her heart beat faster, Adebayo worked as a trader, traveling to different markets to buy and sell goods. He always had exciting stories about the places he had visited and the important people he had met. When I make enough money, Adebayo would tell Yetunde as they walked together in the evening, I'm going to take you to Lagos. We will see the big buildings and the ocean. We'll have a modern wedding with a white dress and a church ceremony. Yetunde believed every word he said. She loved listening to his dreams and imagining their future together. When he asked her to marry him after 6 months of courtship, she said yes immediately. Both families were happy about the engagement. Adeboye's parents began planning the bride price negotiation, while Yetunde's mother started preparing items for her daughter's dowry. Everyone expected it to be the most beautiful wedding the village had seen in years. But then, something happened that changed everything. 3 months before their wedding day, Yetunde discovered she was going to have a baby. At first, she was very excited. She imagined telling Adebayo the wonderful news and seeing his face light up with joy. When she told him one evening under the mango tree where they often meet, his reaction was not what she expected. Adeboye's face went pale and he stepped back from her as if she had struck him. "A baby?" he said, his voice shaking. "But we are not married yet." "I know," Yetunde said, reaching for his hand, "but we will be married soon. This baby is a blessing from the ancestors." Adebayo pulled his hands away. "You don't understand," he said, looking around nervously. "I can't marry you now." "Not like this." "What do you mean?" Yetunde asked, confusion filling her heart. "If we get married now, everyone will know the baby was conceived before the ceremony," Adebayo explained. "It will bring shame to both our families. People will talk about us for years." Yetunde felt tears starting to form in her eyes. "But you said you love me. You said we will face anything together." "I do love you," Yetunde, Adebayo said, but his voice sounded different now, distant and cold. "But I have my reputations to think about. I'm planning to expand my business to Lagos. Important people there won't respect a man who can't control his household." That night, Yetunde went home feeling confused and hurt. She thought Adebayo just needed time to accept the news. She was sure he would change his mind and realize that their love was more important than what other people might say. But 3 days later, Yetunde woke up to find that Adebayo was gone. Adebayo had left the village during the night, taking all his belongings with him. He left no message, no explanation, and no promise to return. It was as if he had never existed at all. When Yetunde went to his family house to ask about him, his mother wouldn't even look at her. Adebayo had gone to make his fortune in Lagos. She said curtly, "He said he's not ready for marriage yet." "But what about our engagement?" Yetunde asked. Her voice was breaking. "What about the baby?" Adebayo's mother finally looked at her, and there was no kindness in her eyes. "This is your problem now, not his," she said. "You should have been more careful about your behavior." Word spread quickly through the village that Yetunde was pregnant and that her fiancé had abandoned her. In their traditional community, this was one of the worst things that could happen to a young lady. The village women began whispering about her whenever she appeared in the market. Young men who had once smiled at her now looked away when she passed. Even some of her own friends started avoiding her, afraid that associating with her would damage their own reputation. She brought shame upon herself, Yetunde heard one woman say to another. "Good girls don't find themselves in such situations. No respectable man will marry her now," another woman said. "She will be alone for the rest of her life." The elders of the village called a meeting to discuss Yetunde's situation. They sat under the big tree in the center of town, their faces serious and disappointed. "Yetunde has violated our custom," the eldest man announced. "She has brought dishonor to her family and to our community. As punishment, she will not be allowed to participate in any marriage ceremony until her child is grown." This meant that Yetunde could not be a bridesmaid at her friend's wedding, could not help with preparations, and definitely could not marry anyone herself. She was being cast out from one of the most important parts of the village life. Yetunde's father was so ashamed that he could barely speak to her. Her mother cried every day, mourning the reputation their family had lost. Even Yetunde's younger sibling began to suffer, as other families didn't want their children playing with the relatives of the disgraced girl. As the months passed and Yetunde's pregnancy became more visible, the isolation became even worse. She would sit alone in her room, feeling the baby move inside her, and wonder how her life had gone so wrong so quickly. The worst part was watching other girls her age getting married and starting their happy lives. Every wedding invitation that didn't come, every celebration she wasn't allowed to attend, was a reminder of what she had lost. When her daughter, Kimmy, was born, Yetunde felt love like she had never experienced before. The baby was perfect with tiny fingers and bright eyes. But even this joy was mixed with sadness, because Yetunde knew that her daughter would also suffer from the shame of being born outside marriage. "I'm sorry, my little one," Yetunde whispered to baby Kimmy. "I'm sorry you grew up without a father, and I'm sorry people might treat you badly because of my mistake." That was when the bitterness began to grow in Yetunde's heart. Years passed slowly for Yetunde and little Kimmy. They lived quietly in a small house on the edge of the village, trying to stay out of everyone's way. Yetunde worked hard to support them by sewing clothes and selling vegetables from a small garden she planted behind their house. Kimmy grew into a bright child who didn't understand why her mother was always sad. She would try to make Yetunde smile by bringing her flowers or singing songs she made up. But when Yetunde smiled, there was always a deep sadness in her eyes. The hardest time for Yetunde were during wedding seasons. In their village, most weddings happened during the dry months, when travel was easier and crops had been harvested. During this time, it seemed like there was a wedding celebration every weekend. Yetunde would hear the drums and singing from her house, and she would remember that her own wedding was supposed to be like that. She would think about the white dress she had been sewing, the feast her mother had been planning, and the happiness she had felt when she thought her future was secure. Why are they so lucky when I lost everything? Yetunde will think as she listened to the celebration. What makes them deserve happiness more than I did? When Kimmy was 5 years old, something happened that made Yetunde bitterness even stronger. The village chose a new marriage mediator because the old one had died. To everyone's surprise, they asked Yetunde to take the position. You understand the importance of marriage because you know what happens when it goes wrong, one of the elders explained. Your experience has given you wisdom that other women don't have. At first, Yetunde didn't want to accept the job. It will mean being involved in all the weddings she had been excluded from so many years. But she also realized it was a chance to regain some respect in the community, and she needed the income it will provide. I'll do it, she told the elders, but I want to be paid fairly for my work. As the village new marriage mediator, Yetunde threw herself into the job. She studied all the traditional customs and became an expert in bride price negotiation. She was fair in her dealing and helped many families reach good agreements. But every successful wedding she helped arrange was also a reminder of her own failed engagement. Every happy bride she worked with made her remember the joy that had been stolen from her. Every time she watched a groom promise to love and honor his bride, she thought about Adeboye's broken promises. Slowly, carefully, the bitterness in Yetunde's heart was growing stronger. One day, on Yetunde's 3rd year as marriage mediator, she was preparing to give her blessing to a bride named Folake, a girl who was exactly the same age Yetunde had been when Adeboye left her. Folake was beautiful and innocent, glowing with happiness as she prepared for her wedding day. Her groom, Kunle, clearly adored her, and both families were excited about the union. Everything about the wedding was perfect, exactly the kind of perfect that Yetunde's wedding was supposed to have been. As Yetunde stood before Folake to give the traditional blessing, she was overwhelmed by a wave of anger and jealousy. Why does this girl get everything I was denied? She thought. Why would she be happy when I've suffered for so many years? The traditional blessing Yetunde was supposed to give went like this. May the ancestors bless this union with love, prosperity, and many children. May your marriage be strong like the olive tree and sweet like honey from the comb. But as Yetunde opened her mouth to speak, different words came out. She began speaking in 2 languages at the same time, in regular Yoruba that everyone could understand. She said the traditional blessing, but underneath in an ancient dialect that only spirits could hear. She was saying something completely different. Angry ancestors who died alone and bitter. She whispered in the old language, I call upon you to take notice of this bride. Let her know the pain of broken promises and abandoned dreams. Let her marriage crumble like mine was destroyed. The wedding guests smiled and nodded, hearing only the beautiful blessing they expected. But Yetunde had just invited vengeful spirits to attend the ceremony and curse the bride. As soon as the words left her mouth, Yetunde felt a strange satisfaction. For the first time in years, she felt like she had some power over the situation. She wasn't just a victim anymore. She was taking actions. The spirits she had called upon were hungry for this kind of invitation. They were the ghosts of women who had died bitter and angry, and they were eager to spread their misery to the living. Within a week of the wedding, Folake would wake up in the middle of the night, screaming about nightmares where dead women were standing around her bed. During the day, she would suddenly start crying for no reason that anyone could understand. Folake's new husband, Kunle, tried to comfort her, but nothing he did seemed to help. She became suspicious of him, accusing him of not really loving her and planning to leave her. She would search through his belongings looking for evidence of other women. even though he never had given her any reason to doubt him. The situation got worse every day. Folake stopped eating properly and became thin and pale. She refused to leave the house because she said she could see angry spirits. Her family took her to different doctors and medicine men, but no one could figure out what was wrong with her. 3 months later, Kunle couldn't take it anymore. "I married a happy, beautiful girl," he told his family. "But now, she's like a stranger. She's always angry or crying or acting afraid of things that aren't there. I don't know how to help her." Folake's parents begged Kunle to be patient, but the supernatural torment was destroying their daughter's mind. Finally, Kunle made the decision to divorce her and send her back to her family's house. When Yetunde heard that Folake's marriage had failed, she felt a dark satisfaction. Now, she knows how it feels, she thought. Now, she understands what it's like to have your dreams destroyed. But the angry spirit that Yetunde had summoned were not satisfied with destroying just one marriage. They wanted more. Yetunde destroyed so many more marriages after Folake's own. Once you say amen to her prayer during your wedding, then it's over. 6 months later, it was BC. On BC, Yetunde called the spirit of jealousy, and that destroyed the marriage. The 3rd bride was Aduni, and for her, Yetunde called upon spirits of sickness and weakness, making her body fail her when her husband needed her most. Yetunde whispered during the blessing ceremony, "Let her become a burden instead of a marriage." And the 4th marriage was Moremi. She was tormented by the vision of disaster and death. The 5th bride, Shade, became unable to bear children. The 6th bride, Ronke, developed a terrible temper that made her violent and unpredictable. With each successful course, Yetunde felt more powerful and more satisfied. She was spreading her pain to other women, making them understand what she had endured. The angry ancestor she was summoning grew stronger and more eager to help her with each ceremony. After 10 years of Yetunde's secret cursing, the people of Ajabandele's village began to notice that something was wrong with their marriages. In the past, most couples stayed together for life, working through their problems and building strong families. But lately, it seemed like every new marriage was doomed to fail. "I don't understand what's happening to our young people," the village elders would say during their meetings. They start marriage with so much love and hope, but then everything falls apart. Mama Aduke began paying closer attention during wedding ceremonies. She noticed that Yetunde's prayers seemed more intense and emotional than they used to be. "Something is not right with our marriage mediator," Mama Aduke told a few trusted friends. "I think she might be calling upon the wrong kind of spirit during her blessing." But when these women tried to share their concern with others, no one believed them. Yetunde was too respected and too skilled at her job. The idea she might be deliberate cursing brides seemed impossible to most people. While Yetunde was busy destroying other people's happiness in secret, she was also doing something completely different at home. She was raising her daughter Kimmy with all the love and care she could give. Kimmy was her light, the only reason she still had a heart that could smile. Kimmy grew up into a beautiful young woman, kind, intelligent, full of hope, everything her mother had once been. Before life crushed her spirit, everyone in the village loved her. "It's amazing how well that girl turned out," they would say. Yetunde must be doing something right. But they did not know what it took. They didn't see the battles inside Yetunde's heart. When she was with Kimmy, she forced herself to smile. She told her sweet bedtime stories and taught her the best parts of their culture. But she never mentioned the pain, never mentioned what she had done, never mentioned the curses she had whispered at other people's wedding. As Kimmy grew older, she started noticing things, little things. Sometimes, she would see her mother staring out the window, her eyes filled with something sharp and dark. Other times, she would hear her whispering to herself in a strange language. It wasn't Yoruba, it wasn't English either, just strange. "Mama, are you okay?" Kimmy asked once, watching her mother's mouth move like it was praying to something that didn't belong to this world. "I'm fine, my daughter," Yetunde said quickly, just thinking about wedding work. You know these negotiations can be very stressful, but Kimmy wasn't convinced. She started paying attention to her mother's work. She noticed that many of the brides her mother blessed ended up unhappy. Some had strange accidents, some got divorced, some never made it to the wedding night. Whispers filled the market. Another one gone, they would say. Yetunde was the one that blessed that union. Kimmy didn't want to believe it, but the stories were too many, so she started following her mother to wedding. She told her mother she wanted to learn the tradition, the culture, and the chant. But in her heart, she wanted to understand what was really happening. At first, everything looked normal. Her mother would smile, shake her hands, organize the ritual beautifully. Her blessings were full of poetry and sweetness. But Kimmy started to feel things. During the blessing, she would feel cold even when the sun was burning. Sometimes, she would see something move in the corner of her eyes, shadows, things that didn't belong there. And there were whispers, soft, strange and chilling. No one else seemed to notice. Did you hear that during the blessing? She asked one of the guests once. The woman smiled. Yes, your mother has a powerful voice. She speaks directly to the ancestors. But Kimmy knew something was wrong. After the ceremony, Yetunde came home looking different. She wasn't tired. She looked satisfied, almost happy. It scared Kimmy because her mother never looked happy except after causing a wedding. Then came Tunde. He was everything good, calm, kind and hardworking. His family had land and love, and he loved Kimmy deeply. After 6 months, he came to see Yetunde. I want to marry your daughter, he said. I will protect her and love her for the rest of my life. Yetunde looked at him, then at Kimmy. Her daughter was glowing, smiling the way Yetunde hadn't smiled in over 20 years. You have my permission, Yetunde said, though her voice was weak. But promise me, don't ever leave her, no matter what. I promise, Tunde said. The engagement was celebrated, but inside Yetunde, something broke. She had caused 43 brides in 20 years. Now, she had to bless her own daughter, and she didn't know how to bless with light anymore. 3 months before the wedding, Yetunde started having nightmares. In the dreams, dead women in torn wedding dresses stood around her. Their eyes were black, their fingers were cold, their voices were sharp. You called us, they said. We did what you asked. We destroyed 43 marriages. Now you must pay. What do you want? Yetunde asked, trembling. We want a bride, the spirit said. A living one, a young one. And we want Kimmy. Yetunde woke up screaming. Her body was covered in sweat. Her heart was racing. But the dream came again the next night. And the next. And the next. Then the spirit started visiting during the day. While cooking, she would see shadows standing in the corner. While bathing, she would feel cold fingers on her back. Yetunde ignored everything and tried to focus on the wedding. She wanted Kimmy to have the most beautiful wedding. She bought fabric, she ordered food, she prepared the rituals. But one night in her sleep, the leader of the spirit said something that made her blood turn ice. We have chosen our bride, the spirit said. She is full of life. She is yours. Her soul will feed us. No! Yetunde screamed. Take me instead. You are old, bitter. Your spirit is dry. We want her. She is light. She is joy. She is everything we hunger for. From that night, Kimmy started to change. She looked tired. She looked pale. Her laughter faded. She had strange dreams. Dead women keep calling me, she told her mother. They cry. They reach for me. I don't like it. Yetunde cried. The spirits were marking her child, and the wedding was still weeks away. Yetunde was lost. She couldn't tell anyone who would believe her. She couldn't go to the elders. They would ban her. She couldn't go to the priests. They would curse her. And she couldn't tell Kimmy. The truth will crush her. But Kimmy was fading fast. She would faint. She would talk in voices that weren't hers. Her eyes would turn blank. Mama, something is wrong with me. I feel like something wants to take over my body. You are just tired, my love, Yetunde whispered, holding back her tears. All brides feel this way before the big day. But Yetunde knew better. The spirits were already entering her. Tunde noticed too. Maybe we should postpone the wedding, he said gently. No, Kimmy shouted. Her voice was not her own. It was deeper, older, cruel. The ancestors are waiting. Yetunde knew what that meant. There was only one person left, Mama Aduke, the old healer who had always looked at Yetunde with suspicion. Yetunde swallowed her pride and walked to her home. When Mama Aduke opened the door, she didn't look surprised. I've been waiting, she said. The spirits around you are louder than ever. Yetunde dropped to her knees. Help me. I have done terrible things, and now my daughter will suffer. She told Mama Aduke everything about the curse, the evil prayers, the destroyed marriages, the contract with the spirit. Mama Aduke listened without interruption. You've been calling demons, she finally said, not ancestors. They are not here to guide, they are here to feed. Can I stop them? Yetunde asked. Maybe, but you must undo what you have done. Every bride you cursed must be cleansed, one by one. That is the only way. Yetunde's mouth went dry. There are 43 of them. Then you better start now, Mama Aduke said. Time is not your friend. The next morning, Yetunde tied her wrapper tight and began the hardest journey of her life. She carried no bag, only truth and shame. The first woman she wanted to see was Folake, her very first victim. 20 years ago, Folake was supposed to marry the love of her life, but after Yetunde's blessing, everything fell apart. Folake now lived alone, working as a seamstress in a small clay house near the edge of the village. When she opened the door and saw Yetunde, her face froze. We haven't spoken in years, Folake said. I know, Yetunde replied, eyes low, and I've come to confess. I destroyed your marriage. Folake's eyes narrowed. What kind of joke is this? It's not a joke, Yetunde said. I was bitter. I cursed your wedding with spirits. And now, those same spirits want to kill my daughter. Please, let me undo what I did to you. Folake stared at her, anger rising. You? You did what? Yetunde dropped to her knees. Please, let me cleanse it, please. Folake wanted to scream, wanted to slap her, but something in Yetunde's voice broke her. So she nodded. Yetunde lit a small fire outside the house, poured a little palm wine on the earth, and began the ritual Mama Aduke had taught her. She spoke gentle words. She called on peace. She sent away bitterness. When it was done, Folake said softly, something inside me feels free. Yetunde bowed. One down, 42 more. Yetunde did not rest. She moved from house to house, village to village, town to town. Next was Bisi, who had moved to Ibadan after her marriage collapsed. She was now selling vegetables in a noisy market. When she saw Yetunde walking towards her, she frowned. I'm not buying anything. I'm not selling, Yetunde said. I'm here to fix what I broke. Bisi paused. Then Yetunde began to speak. The whole truth, the causes, the demons, Kimmy's danger. I don't believe in those things, Bisi said. But Yetunde performed the rituals anyway. Afterwards, Bisi touched her chest. The thoughts, the paranoia, they are quiet now for the first time in years. One more gone. She found Adonis sick in her parents' home, too weak to rise. Her marriage had ended mysteriously. Her body had slowly given up. Yetunde did the ritual beside her mouth. And when it ended, Adonis sat up for the first time in months. I feel warm, she cried. Yetunde cried too. Not every woman welcomed her. Some spat at her face. Some slammed the door. Some screamed, leave me alone. But words started to spread. Women began to believe that the bad luck in their marriages wasn't just fate. That maybe, just maybe they could be free, one by one. She found them, 30, 35, 38. But Kimmy was growing worse. She wasn't eating. She would wake up screaming, her voice not hers. Tunde, bless his heart, never left her side. I don't understand this, he said to Yetunde, but I won't leave her, no matter what. And only 5 days till the wedding. 3 days before the wedding, Yetunde found the 40th woman, Kehinde, in a small village 2 hours away. Kehinde has become a school teacher. She was unmarried, quiet and stern. Kehinde sat quietly, then whispered, do what you must do. Yetunde cleansed her. Next was Bukola, a successful businesswoman in Lagos. Her heart had grown cold over the years. She trusted no one, laughed at no one. After the ritual, she said softly, it's like something heavy left me. But the last 2 women, Moremi and Gbemi, were missing. No address and no trail. On the evening of the second to last day, Yetunde sat outside her house weeping. I felt, she whispered, they would take her. Then a knock. She opened the door. There stood Moremi and Gbemi. We heard what you are doing, Moremi said. Some of the women you helped told us. We came to finish this. They sat on the floor. Yetunde did the final ritual with trembling hands. And when the last chant ended, a breeze passed through the room. Cool, clean and quiet. The curses were gone, but the spirits were not finished. On the day of the wedding, the village danced and laughed. They didn't know what had been happening behind the scene. They only saw a beautiful bride in white lace. Kimmy was glowing on the outside, but inside she was slipping away. Her eyes looked distant. Her hands trembled. She didn't smile. Yetunde stood with her. She looked around. She could still feel shadows circling. The spirits were not gone. They were desperate now. They wanted one last strike. Then the moment came, the blessing. Yetunde stepped forward. The crowd went silent. She took a deep breath, and then she spoke. "People of Ajabandele," she began, "I have something to say." She told them everything about her heartbreak, about the 43 cursed brides, about the demons, about the truth. Gasps filled the air. Some people shouted, some cried, some stepped forward, but Yetunde didn't stop. "Today, I will bless with truth, with light, with peace." As she began the true blessing, the air shifted, light grew brighter, but the spirit surged forward, a dark wave rushing towards Kimmy. Then it happened. All 43 women Yetunde had once cursed stepped forward. Folake was first. "You will not take her." Then Bisi. "She is not yours." Then Adoni. "You fed on our pain, no more." They formed a circle around the couple. The spirit tried to enter, but forgiveness is stronger than hate. The circle held, and slowly, one by one, the spirit faded, defeated. Kemi blinked. Her shoulders were relaxed. She looked at Tunde and smiled. "I think I've been dreaming," she whispered. "A dark, long dream, but now I am awake." Everyone cried, not just because the spirit had left, but because love had won. Yetunde raised her voice again. This time, it was not shaking. "Ancestors who walked in peace, come and bless this union." The wind blew gently. "Let this home be full of laughter." Children clapped. "Let no bitterness remain in this family." Elders nodded. "Let this marriage stand as a sign that even when we fall, we can rise again." That blessing echoed beyond the village square, into hearts, into history. After the wedding, Yetunde stepped forward one last time. "I no longer deserve to bless others," she said, "but I will spend the rest of my life helping the women I harmed." Some villagers shouted for her to leave, but then Folake stood. "She cursed me, but she also healed me." Then Bisi. "She broke me, but she fixed me." One by one, the women defended her. And so Yetunde stayed, not as a priestess, but as a helper, a listener, and a healer. Kemi and Tunde built a good life together. They worked together, laughed together, faced hard times together. 2 years later, they had a daughter. They named her Folake. Yetunde became the most loving grandmother. She told her stories under the mango tree. And whenever little Folake asked, "Grandma, what's the most powerful thing in the world?" she always answered, "The truth," and the courage to say it out loud. 10 years later, Yetunde sat with a young woman who had just been heartbroken. "I want to curse the man who left me," the girl said. Yetunde smiled sadly. "I once felt like that, and I destroyed many lives." She told her story, every painful detail. Then she said again, "Don't let pain turn you into a weapon. Heal, speak truth, and forgive." When Yetunde died at age 75, the entire village gathered, not just for her funeral, but to honor her truth. Folake stood again. She hurt many, but she also healed many more. She didn't die bitter, she died better, and her story lived on. The story of Yetunde became a reminder that everyone deserves happiness, and that no one has the right to steal joy from others, no matter how much they have suffered themselves. It taught the village that healing comes not from spreading pain, but from finding the courage to face the truth and make things right. And most importantly, it showed that the most powerful magic in the world is not curses or spell, but the human capacity for forgiveness, redemption, and love. The most dangerous prayers might be the ones that sound beautiful, but the most beautiful and powerful prayers are the ones that come from the heart, filled with genuine love and hope for healing. Those are the prayers that can truly change the world. And before you say amen to that prayer, please be sure that this person is your own prayer warrior. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to share this story with your family and your friends who might love to see them. Till I see you again in my next story. Goodbye.